Imagine the trust you place in something you put on your skin every single day.
Mm-hmm.
A beauty cream, maybe. From a brand you totally recognize, maybe even one a celebrity endorses.
Mm-hmm.
Now, imagine finding out it secretly contains this uh, highly toxic heavy metal, something banned decades ago.
Right.
That's not some bad dream. It's actually the reality uncovered in India's cosmetic market. And today, we're going to dig into how this, well, frankly, astonishing situation is still happening.
Yeah, our mission for this deep dive is really to unpack the systemic issues. How does this toxic metal keep sneaking into products when there are actual bans?
Exactly.
Why is the problem still around? And what steps are being taken, or maybe what steps really need to be taken to finally protect people from these hidden dangers? It's quite a revealing look at consumer safety and, well, regulation in practice.
Okay, let's unpack this then. Let's rewind a bit, back to 2014. India's Center for Science and Environment, the CSE, they decided to take a closer look at what was really inside popular fairness creams.
Right.
And what they found was, well, it was pretty unsettling. Out of 32 creams they tested, 14 of them, that's 44% contain mercury.
44%, that's huge.
It is. And here's where it gets really concerning. 4 of those products had extremely high levels, concentrations that were just way beyond anything remotely legal.
Wow.
And just to give you a sense of the scale here, we're not talking about some obscure, unknown brands. These are household names, things you've definitely seen advertised, probably endorsed by big Bollywood stars.
Which ones?
Pond's White Beauty, Lotus Herbals, Cocoa Fair Cream, Olay Natural White, and Aroma Magic Fair Lotion. Brands that are just everywhere. For products used so widely to have this inside, it really makes you ask questions.
Yeah. And when we talk about these concentrations, we often use parts per million ppm. It sounds tiny, right?
Right.
1 part mercury in a million parts cream.
Seems insignificant.
But with something as potent as mercury, a neurotoxin, even that tiny amount can build up. It has these cumulative effects, especially if you're applying it daily, over large areas of skin. It's that classic thing of quantity versus potency.
And this is where the story gets even more, well, tangled. India's official stance on mercury in cosmetics goes back surprisingly far. Manufacturing and importing cosmetics with mercury, that was banned way back in 1978.
1978, that's nearly 5 decades ago.
Exactly, a ban from almost 50 years ago.
Yeah. Now, there was a very specific kind of narrow exception added in 82. That was for things like eyeliners, mascaras, basically products used right near the eye.
Okay.
Mercury compounds could be used there, but only as a preservative, to stop bacteria growing in such a sensitive area.
Right.
But the main idea, the spirit of the law, was clear. Keep mercury out of cosmetics.
Right.
Then, much more recently, in 2020, the cosmetics rules spelled out the limits even more clearly. For those eye products, mercury as a preservative is okay, but absolutely not above 70 ppm.
70 ppm.
Got it. But for literally everything else, all other cosmetics, mercury is banned, period. The only exception is for genuinely unintentional trace amounts, and that can't be more than 1 ppm.
1 part per million. So basically none.
Exactly. The intention is pretty unambiguous.
Okay, so banned since 78, specific limits reinforced in 2020. Yet the CSE study in 2014 finds it in almost half the creams tested. This massive disconnect just makes you wonder, where is the system actually breaking down?
That really is the core question, isn't it? The enforcement gap. And it's complicated. If we fast forward to 2021, another study, this one by Toxics Link, gave a slightly different picture, but still concerning.
How so?
Well, in their specific batch, none of the creams actually made in India contain mercury, which, might suggest some domestic brands are maybe cleaning up their act.
Okay, that sounds like progress.
Maybe, but here's the catch. A third of the 15 skin whitening creams they tested that were imported, mainly from Pakistan, still had mercury levels way, way above safe limits.
So it's coming in from outside.
It seems like a major pathway, yeah. And interestingly, these were mostly different brands than the ones CSC flagged in 2014. Names like Lotus Herbals White Glow this time, L'Oreal Paris, VLCC, V-Care, Jovi's, Himalaya Herbals.
So it's hard to know if the original bad actors are clean now.
It is very difficult to say for sure, especially because, and this is crucial, mercury isn't exactly listed on the ingredient label. It's hidden.
Right. It's like a shell game.
Yeah.
Which just makes you wonder why would manufacturers even bother putting something so toxic in their products? What's the draw for them? And why do traders keep bringing it in?
It really comes down to a mix of chemistry and economics. Firstly, mercury is just very effective as a bleaching agent.
How does it work?
It actually blocks melanin production in your skin, so it leads to a noticeable lightening effect, which is what people buying these creams are looking for.
Okay.
Secondly, it's also used as a preservative sometimes, not just in eye makeup, but body lotions, other things. But the main driver, honestly, it's cost.
Cheaper.
Much cheaper than many safer alternatives that might give a similar, though maybe slower effect. And if you link this to the bigger picture in India, there's this, well, powerful cultural preference for fair skin. It creates this huge demand for quick fix whitening products.
So the market pull is massive.
Absolutely massive. And that makes it incredibly tempting for some manufacturers to cut corners. You know, swap out a safe ingredient for cheap, effective, but dangerous mercury to boost profits.
And is mercury hard to get hold of? Even with rules, are we talking like black market stuff or just poor controls?
That's a really important point. Unfortunately, sourcing mercury from chemical suppliers can be relatively easy, especially in places where the checks on industrial chemicals maybe aren't as tight as they should be.
So it's not necessarily hidden dealings.
Often, it's more about exploiting gaps, loopholes in the oversight of chemical supply chains. It allows this cheaper, dangerous ingredient to get substituted into consumer goods. For some manufacturers, it's a calculated risk, especially when the penalties are, well, pretty low.
Let's talk about those risks. The dangers to the consumer, to you using these products. How serious are we talking?
We're talking very serious. Health authorities use this concept, acceptable daily intake, or ADI.
Right.
It's basically the maximum amount of a toxin you can be exposed to every single day over your whole life without it causing health problems. Now, we already get some mercury exposure from other places, right? Burning coal, certain fish.
Yeah, I've heard about mercury in fish.
Exactly. So there are food safety limits. FSAI sets it at 0.25 milligrams per kilogram for food. The old Prevention of Food Adulteration Act capped it at 0.5 ppm in fish, 1 ppm in other foods.
Okay, so there's a background level.
Yes, but here's the kicker, the point that often gets missed. Some of these skin whitening creams, just one application, can use up more than half of your safe daily mercury limit.
50%. Just from a cream. Yeah.
Over 50% in some cases. Imagine doing that not just once, but day after day, year after year.
Yeah.
It builds up. It subtly poisons your system.
That's the long-term risk.
That's the real danger. Once that inorganic mercury from the creams gets into your body, either through the skin or if you accidentally ingest a bit, it accumulates, and it can lead to really severe problems. Kidney damage is a big one.
Wow.
Also, terrible rashes, skin getting discolored, even permanent scarring. And it doesn't stop at the skin. It's linked to neurological issues, too. Anxiety, depression, major damage to your central nervous system.
So given these really severe health risks and the fact that there are clear regulations, how is it possible these products are still just out there, available for people to buy? It feels like a huge gap between the law and what's actually happening.
It really highlights a critical flaw, doesn't it? The main regulatory body, the CDSCO, Central Drugs Standard Control Organization, they just don't inspect every single batch of cosmetics coming into India. It's not feasible with current resources, maybe.
So how does it work then?
Brands mostly self-declare. They submit their ingredient list, their toxicity tests. After that, it's random checks mostly, or investigations only if someone complains. It's very reactive, not proactive.
Reactive, okay.
And another really striking point is the lack of any real deterrent. The penalties. In an industry worth billions, over $20 billion globally, the fine in India for selling unsafe cosmetics, it's just €20,000. Or maybe up to a year in jail.
20,000 rupees, that's nothing for a big company.
Exactly. And even that small penalty is rarely enforced effectively. So for some companies, the financial upside of using cheap, illegal mercury just massively outweighs the tiny risk of getting caught and fined. It's simple economics, unfortunately.
And then there's online shopping.
Ah, yes. Add the e-commerce boom into this whole mix, and you've got this enormous, convenient loophole. The main law, the Drugs and Cosmetics Act, it's old. It just doesn't properly cover online cosmetic sales in its current form.
Seriously.
Seriously. So it makes it incredibly easy for banned products or unregulated stuff to slip through customs or even be made quietly here and then get sold directly to you, the consumer, through online platforms. Virtually no oversight.
It really is like playing whack-a-mole, isn't it? Ban it here, it pops up online, or comes in through imports. But, okay, there seems to be some movement now, a push for change.
There is. The Drugs Controller General of India, the person heading up CDSCO, has publicly said they want to crack down. properly enforce strict limits, finally ban the manufacture, sale, and import of any cosmetic with more than that 1 ppm trace level of mercury.
And why now? What's driving this sudden urgency?
Well, a big reason is international obligation. India signed the Minamata Convention on Mercury back in 2017.
The Minamata Convention.
Yeah, it's a global treaty. The whole point is to protect human health and the environment from mercury pollution caused by human activities. And under that treaty, countries agreed to ban these specific mercury-added cosmetics by the end of 2020.
End of 2020. Well, we're way past that.
We are. India actually asked for and got a 5-year extension. So their deadline is now the end of 2025.
Okay, 2025. And as we're talking now, we're already halfway through 2025.
Yeah.
And it sounds like things still aren't fully sorted.
That's the stark reality, yes. We're getting close to the deadline, and the problem clearly persists.
So what could actually work then to bridge this gap? Beyond just stating intentions, what concrete steps do we need to see to make this ban real?
That really raises the crucial question, doesn't it? What can be done? Well, for starters, much better monitoring of imports seems obvious.
Right.
Authorities know that contaminated products often come from specific neighboring countries. Pakistan, Bangladesh, China have been mentioned. So more targeted testing of imports from those places seems like a sensible first step. Put the resources where the risk is highest.
Makes sense. What else?
We also just need to strengthen the regulatory agencies themselves. Give them the teeth, the resources to do regular proactive checks, not just wait for complaints, to actually seize products quickly. And importantly, to impose penalties that actually hurt, that act as a real deterrent.
Meaningful penalties.
Exactly. And something else that could help is an alert system. Like the EU have RAPEX, it stands for Rapid Exchange of Information System.
How does that work?
It basically flags unsafe products, not just cosmetics, all sorts of things, across all the member countries. So if something dangerous is found in one place, everyone gets alerted quickly to stop it reaching homes elsewhere. Something like that for India, or even regionally, could be really effective.
Like an early warning system for dangerous goods.
Precisely. Yeah, and finally, and this is maybe the biggest one right now, India's Drugs and Cosmetics Act desperately needs updating, seriously upgrading.
To close that online loophole.
Absolutely. In today's world where so much is bought online, internationally even, having no clear rules for online sales is just, it's a gaping hole. It has to be plugged. That's probably the single biggest enforcement challenge.
It really sounds like without these kinds of fundamental changes, proper checks, real penalties, fixing the online mess, just saying mercury is phased out of skincare, might sadly remain wishful thinking.
Unfortunately, yes. The intention is there, the deadline is looming, but the practical enforcement mechanisms need serious work.
So we've gone on quite a journey today. From that shocking discovery of mercury in everyday creams, through this maze of rules and the gaps that let it continue, and landed on this urgent need for real systemic change. Understanding what might be in your products and why these dangers stick around, it really is invaluable, isn't it?
It absolutely is. And, this whole issue makes you ponder a bigger question, really. In a world just saturated with products, where does the main responsibility lie? How much should fall on you, the consumer, to be constantly vigilant, reading labels, researching ingredients?
Yeah, it's exhausting just thinking about it.
Right. And how much responsibility lies with the systems, the regulations, the agencies that are actually designed to protect us from harm in the first place? It's a tough balance.
Definitely something to think about. We hope this deep dive today gives you, our listeners, some valuable knowledge. Maybe helps you make more informed choices about what you put on your skin. And perhaps also encourages you to expect more, to demand more from the systems that are meant to keep all of us safe.